At the moment. I hope you can hear and see me okay. And this will be just a quick one as well because it's Friday night and I don't intend to be in the office all evening tonight, which would be a nice change. Just bringing up my feed now. Cool. Hello everyone. Like I said, a bit of an early live. I wonder if anyone will tune in. That's okay. If you do, if you don't, you'll be able to watch this later on our Instagram live feed, on our feed. Sorry, our story. Our story up in the top left there once you press it, or you can watch this of course on YouTube at a time that suits you. So a bit of an earlier live. I know it says 8 p.m. on our story at the moment. I have to get this one in a bit early. It's that's the way it goes. I'm going to move these out of the way, and I'm going to move that out of the way. Now, the purpose behind this little live stream is to talk to you about a special whiskey that we're releasing in February Outturn. I'm previewing a little bit of February Outturn ahead of the full release, because I'm in that lucky position where a couple of bottles from Outturn have landed, have bypassed through my office due to events and due to different things happening. Excuse me. I'm using my SCS glass in this case. I'm a bit tired today, I'm sorry. I've had a big week and I'm always a bit spent on Fridays. Just a drop left in that one. So I'm going to pour that. There we go. That's it. That's the whole dram. So what we have here is 91.24, rolling in fruit blossom. An empty bottle of such now. I'll hold that up so you can see that. It's in the spicy and sweet flavour profile. And as you may have seen, the labels are changing soon for us again. There's a slight update coming to the front label to provide a bit more transparency and understanding about what's on the label. Lee Wallace, 45 Fin. Lee, I hope you're enjoying that. Lee, I hope you're enjoying that G8.7 I think you're on right now, Caribbean Banana Fritters, and 45 Fin. I posted up the story of in our story feed of that marvelous photo you took of the 1 dot something something, the Kept in the Dark. Fantastic cask, that one. I'm kicking myself I didn't grab one of those. That was a lovely bottling, and it was like one of my favourites of the last, I'd say the favourites of the last even 12 months. It was such a brisk and honest cask, and I use the word honest a bit in cask, describing a cask. It wasn't hiding behind anything. No, it wasn't hiding behind any influence of any other wine cask or sherry cask. It was just a good fun whiskey. Whiskey Man Sam joined. Good to see you, Whiskey Man Sam. Whiskey Man Sam. Sorry, Sam. Good to see you, mate. 91 is of course a distillery in the Speyside region, in the Dufftown region. That should give you a big enough clue of where it is or what the distillery is. Distillery 91. And this is just the 24th cask in 35 years we've ever seen at the Society. I'll hold that up once more. Hope it's not too blurry this time. It was a little bit last time. True North Spirits joined. Good to see you. I'm gonna if the camera seems to want to focus on my face, so I'm just gonna keep angling that until the there we go. That's the one. That's what we were looking for. Rolling in fruit blossom there. True North Spirit, Rowan. It's been a while, mate. Hope you're well. Haven't seen you in the stream for a few weeks, I'd say at least. We all lead busy lives, and I don't normally do a stream this early. It's not that early. It's only 7 o'clock or something. Oh, wow. Fruit blossom is correct. Ooh, it's my first dram of the day. It's got a wee punch to it, that one. It says on the front label, rose petals and orange blossom rained down onto tropical fruit as apricot and ginger marmalade joined rye bread, honey, and sandalwood. Get the sandalwood on the finish. Orange blossom on the nose, of course. Ooh, lovely. Got a wee hue to it as well. Lovely hue to it. I'm going to add just a few drops of water to that. I think I'll really appreciate a few drops of water. Doesn't need too much. It has been many weeks, yes. Oh, there's the apricot. There's the ginger marmalade. Ginger marmalade's a lovely flavour in a whiskey, I find. It's a real savoury sort of like, that's the spicy element of the spicy and sweet. It's sort of, that dark purple is spicy and sweet. This is a 9-year-old first fill bourbon barrel. That's a lot of fun. I know I've said this line before, and I'm going to say it again. It's casks like these that you'll see on an Outturn at a very, very reasonable price that I would classify as a true sleeper cask. The kind of cask that is where everyone's going to be aiming for, the malt of the month. which I featured the other night. I'll talk a bit more about next week. But people are going to be looking for things like that on Outturns. And that's a great whiskey, don't get me wrong. This is why everyone's going to be looking for it. A deep, rich and dried fruits, 18-year-old for a ripper price. However, it's things like this 9124, which are often overlooked, which are often sort of the sleeper casks on an Outturn, the ones that are truly full of flavour, amazing whiskies, but they're not superstar distilleries. Distillery 91 is by far not a superstar distillery, but it's fascinating distillery nonetheless. It's part of the Diageo family, which is the biggest owner of. They're probably the biggest drinks company in the world. Alcoholic drinks company in the world, I'd say. I don't know what their size is in comparison to something like Coca-Cola company, but anyway, it doesn't matter. However, this distillery is part of Diageo, and at one point before Rose Isle became a distillery, before Rose Isle came about, it was the biggest distillery in their folio. It was the biggest Diageo distillery that they had, which is kind of like it's a purpose-built malt. It's purpose-built for blending. It's a distillery that was made to be blended and to be used by blenders. And the shape of that spirit profile is shaped for blenders. So when you get a single cask, single malt out of a distillery that you don't even see much of a core range from, I mean, they do sometimes bottle it under the brand Singleton, but that's different markets get different distilleries. Some markets get Glenord, some get Orthrusk, others get this one, and I'm sure there's a fourth one. I think there's four different distilleries that are used to create Singleton. Glenord, anyway. If you remember, please put it in the comments. I can't remember. Mr. Cream 33, Whiskey Brad joined. Good to see you guys. I hope you're well. Mr. Cream, I hope it's a little bit cooler in Tasmania than it is up here. It is sweltering here again today. Quite warm. Quite warm. I mean, it was even worse yesterday, but today is pretty warm still. Pretty humid. I know it's on 8 p.m. Calte. I have other plans tonight. I'm sorry. This stream has to come along a little bit earlier. So I'm recording it now. If you are catching it live, fantastic. Thank you so much for being a part of it. If you're not, it's in the stories, and you can always comment on the story as well. I appreciate comments if you're watching it on the stories on Instagram, or you can watch it on YouTube on our Scotch Malt Whisky Society Australia channel. I'm talking about Distillery 91.24. I've been talking a bit about the distillery. So it's a distillery that is located in Dufton, or Dufftown if you prefer. That's about as big a clue as I can possibly give you. The clue is in the name. It was once upon a time the biggest distillery in Diageo's folio, and it's a purpose-built distillery for blending. And most of it was probably being blended into the likes of Johnny Walker and other brands that they own. However, some of it, a proportion of it, I don't know how much, probably maybe 10% of it goes into single malt, which would be the Singleton, and then but most of it goes into blending. So it was a distillery purpose-built by Diageo for blending, which is kind of cool. It's also a very low maintenance distillery, as in like very low staff requirement, very high capacity, very much designed for that. So being able to taste something like this, as I was saying just before, as a single malt, not just as a single malt, but as a single cask. This is a February Outturn preview, as I should hasten to add here. It's a single malt, it's a single cask, single malt from a distillery that you just don't see much from. So this is a February Outturn preview we're on tonight, and a proper sleeper cask, as I said, whilst everyone's going to be scouting for things like 16.39 on our malt of the month, and other casks are still to be announced in the Outturn. We'll have some. This is an opportunity for you to grab something at a really, really reasonable price. That's a delicious whiskey, and I mean truly delicious. Sandalwood, ginger nut cookies, orange marmalade. Quite bready, like almost like quite grain forward. Lovely. The sandalwood's on the finish. It's lovely. It's really good. And it's just one of those casks that the panel have approved as a lovely 9-year-old first fill bourbon barrel. And that's what whiskey's about. It's about enjoying great whiskey with great friends and delving into those flavor profiles, delving into flavors and experiencing something new. It's a short stream tonight. As I said, I've got some other commitments later on tonight. I can't always do the stream at 8 o'clock. But we try to do one every day. I really appreciate you tuning in, watching a few things that we do. And I'll see you all. Hold on, before I sign off, some questions. Any chance of the heavily peated blend? Rowan Guy, yes. Battle Axe, you're referring to Battle Axe. there is a heavily peated blended malt coming in the Heresy range. It's called Battle Axe. We are getting heaps of it. Don't worry. There's actually 3 in the new Heresy bottlings coming. 3 new Heresy bottlings: Big Swirl, Beachcomber, and Battle Axe. So Big Swirl is a bit of a, will remind you of something like Exotic Cargo. It's a heavily sherried, non-peated blended malt. Beachcomber is meant to be an oily and coastal style blended malt, and the Battle Axe is meant to be a fair bit heavier peated, closer to Peat Fairy, but a different mix entirely, a totally different recipe that Ewan Campbell over in the UK has been working on. Very exciting times. So yes, Rowan, they're all coming through. Don't worry, Battle Axe will be here very shortly. They only just released it, I think, in Benelux and Europe and whatnot, like this week. So we're getting it. We'll have it as early as hopefully next month. I'm not sure yet. We'll find out, but it's coming through, and it'll be coming through very, very soon. What else? Yeah. So there's no Heresy bottlings in February Outturn, but there's some lovely single casks. Heresy's are meant to be always available. You'll see them on the website. Even Peat Fairy, I think, is even almost just out of stock now. So it's something that is always available that you can always grab. Although Exotic Cargo didn't hang around very long, as you know. You can watch this up in the stories. You can watch this on YouTube, and I really appreciate you tuning in and enjoying a dram with me. Happy Fridays. It's a long weekend, so we might not do a stream on Monday night, but we'll see how we go. Wouldn't want to miss a Monday rant, especially if I had a weekend to gather my thoughts on some interesting things coming up. Have a great evening, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.